Good afternoon, year 8. We are moving on now to a new topic, which is coordinates. And after coordinates, we're going to be going on to graphs. So this is a really important topic for you to get your head round. Okay, if you don't understand coordinates, you're going to find the graph work a little bit tricky. Okay, so if you put a heading coordinates in your books, okay, and you can stop the video, press play when you're ready, and we'll talk about coordinates. And hopefully something you've done in primary. Okay, so you don't need to write this down, not the bullet points anyway. So what are coordinates? They help us to find a place on a grid. So you may have used grid references in geography. Well, coordinates are like that, but in maths. So when we've got a set of axes, an x and a y axis, where x goes across and y goes up, to find a place on that set of axes, we have coordinates. Okay, and coordinates are two numbers with a comma in between them in brackets. Okay, and we always start from the origin, and the origin is 0, 0. It's where the axes start from. Okay, and the rule is, and you may have heard this before, that we go along the corridor and then up or down the stairs. So what I'd like you to do is write down that bit which says along the corridor, then up and down the stairs. And what it means is that when you give a coordinate, you always give the x coordinate first and the y coordinate second. So you go left or right first, and then you go up or down. Okay, so it's always x first, then y. Okay, so here's an example of a coordinate. 4, 3, it's always in brackets, okay, and it's always got a comma in between. So for that coordinate 4, 3, what it means is to start from the origin 0, 0, where your axes come from, and it means to go across 4, which is to the right because it's positive, so you'd go right 4 and up 3. Okay, so the x number always comes first across the corridor, and the y number always comes second up the stairs. Okay, so I'd like you to get that in your book. Okay, so what does a coordinate look like? And that the first one is the x coordinate and the second one is the y coordinate. So write that down, pause the video, press play when you're ready to move on. Okay, now what I'd like you to do in your books is to draw me a set of axes. Okay, exactly like you can see there. So your y-axis, the one that goes up and down, the vertical one, needs to go from -5 all the way up to 6. And if you want to, you can double space them, but they all have to be double spaced. So you can leave, like, do a number every 2 squares if you like, as long as they're all like it. And then your x-axis, the one that goes across the page, do the same. So draw me out a set of axes, and I'd like you to put these coordinates on. Okay, so I'll talk you through them. So A is 4, 4, because to get to A, you start from 0 in the middle, and you go right 4, and then up 4. So 4 to the right is a positive 4, up 4 is positive 4. So 4 across, 4 up. Okay. B, now that's in what we call the second quadrant. Now to get to B, start from the middle, we need to go to the right 5, so go to +5 is your first part of your coordinate, and then down 2. So if you look, that one is 5, -2. The -2 tells us that we went down, not up. Okay. Then you've got C. Now to get to C, we need to go left and up. So when you go left, your first number, your x coordinate, is negative. So it's -2 to go left 2, and then 2 when we go up. So -2, 2. And then D is different to all the others because it's got 2 negative coordinates, and that's because we went left to -3 and down to -4. Okay. So you always give the x coordinate first and then the y coordinate, and you just basically read them off the axes. Okay, so your x coordinate, if you go to the right, is positive, and if you go to the left, it's negative, and your y coordinate, if you go up, is positive and down is negative. Okay, so make sure you've got all of that in your book with the 4 coordinates labelled and what the coordinate is, this bit in brackets. Okay, and then on the next slide we'll have a little mini test where you can test yourself. Okay, so you don't need to draw this. This is just to see if you've understood what you're doing. So first of all, I want you to work out the coordinate for the lighthouse. You don't need to write it down, but pause the video while you work out the coordinate of the lighthouse before I tell you the answer. And hopefully you've got that the lighthouse is at 5, 7. To get to the lighthouse, if you start from 0, you go to the right 5 and up 7. So 5, 7. Okay, the next one I'd like you to find is the food store. So what would the coordinate of the food store be? So have a think, and when you're ready, when you've got an answer, press play. You should have 5, 1, because we go 5 to the right, so to positive 5 on the x-axis and then up 1. Okay, next one, I'd like you to give me the coordinate for the post office. So pause the video. And the post office, hopefully you're thinking in your head that it's 2, -2, because first of all we go 2 to the right and then we go 2 down, so 2, -2. Remember, all of these would go in brackets as well. Okay, fourth one I'd like you to give me the coordinate for is the swimming pool. So find the swimming pool. What would the coordinate be for the swimming pool? Now this time we've gone 3 to the left, so that's -3, then we've gone down, so that's -1. So your final coordinate for the swimming pool would be -3, -1. We went left 3, down 1. And then the last one is the campsite. So what would the coordinate be for the campsite? Hopefully you've worked out then the campsite is -5, 4, because we went 5 to the left and 4 up. So your answers should be these, look. Okay, so just double check that you got them right and you understand how coordinates work, okay, before you move on. So the exercise I'd like you to do, I've got them on the slides, the questions, but I'd like you to fill in the answers on the Google form that I've also put up for this lesson. So here's the slides. So if you want to write them in your book first of all, I'll go through them and you can pause the video and then fill in the Google Forms afterwards. So here's question 1. Just need to write down the coordinates of A and B in brackets with a comma in between them. Okay. Question 2. First of all, you've got to write down the coordinates of C. And then for part B, if I put one more coordinate on there to make a rectangle, where would that coordinate go? So coordinate D is the last corner of the rectangle. What would be the coordinates of that point D? This is question 3. So you're going to write down the coordinates of A and C, first of all. Then for the last part, if M is halfway between A and B, so it's called the midpoint. So if M is halfway between A and B, what is the coordinate of M? Question 4 is simple, just write down the coordinates of L and M. Remember to put them in brackets with a comma in between, and if you need minuses because of going left or down, make sure to put a minus in. And question 5, now this time we've given you the coordinates and you've got to work out which letter it is. So all you've got to do is put in the right letter. So what letter is at the coordinate 3, 0, and what letter is at the coordinate -5, 4. Question 6, a bit like the rectangle one from earlier, but if corner D makes a parallelogram this time, where would corner D go? Okay, so which one of those coordinates would make a parallelogram with the 4 corners? And then the last one, what you've got there is half of a kite. where would the fourth corner go to make a full kite? And you've got to write down the coordinates. So it's called corner C. Where would corner C have to go to make a kite? And I want you to fill in your answers then on the Google form to go with this lesson. Okay, thank you.